Because I feel like the devil is trying to mess with my spiritual life. When I'm talking about sleep, I mean deep sleep. I sleep in the morning, sleep in the afternoon, sleep all day long. And I don't know why. That's demonic. It is really bad.
Sister Rose, you want to tell me now you don't know that you are exactly 2 weeks pregnant?
One woman, 2 men, 1 deadly mistake. Will she survive the consequences? Watch till the end to find out. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so to stay updated with the latest Nigerian movies. Today, we're talking about a captivating new Nigerian movie that offers more than just entertainment. It's filled with life lessons you won't want to miss. So, let's dive right into it. The movie begins in the home of a married woman named Rose. Her house was being used to host a church fellowship meeting, and after the prayers, she served light refreshments to the attendees. The next day, while Rose was on her way home, her car suddenly refused to start. A young man named Pascal showed up and helped her get it working again. Grateful, Rose offered him money, but he politely declined. Out of concern that her car might break down again, she asked for his number before they parted ways. That same day, when Rose got home, she tried calling her husband, Toby, but he told her he was busy and abruptly ended the call. So, she occupied herself with her phone and continued her day. The next morning, Rose was happy to see that her husband had finally come home. She hoped he would spend some time with her, but Toby explained he had an urgent appointment to attend and left again soon after. Not long after, Rose's friend Bola came over to visit. She expressed frustration about Toby's frequent absences and scolded Rose for not doing anything to keep her husband in check. However, Rose defended him, saying she understood his busy schedule. Bola then brought out some goods she was selling, and they started discussing business matters. The following day, 2 women from church, Sister Grace and Sister Esther, came to visit Rose, but she wasn't home. Her maid received them and promised to pass their message along. They had come to inform her about an upcoming church program and said that her financial contribution would be needed. The maid went to offer them something to eat, though their behavior seemed overly pretentious. Later that day, after sending her maid on an errand, Rose received a call from Pascal. She thanked him again for his earlier help, but he began pressing for a friendship. Rose firmly reminded him that she was married and much older than him. Despite his persistence, she ended the call. Shortly after, a gift was delivered to Rose. When she opened it and read the note, she realized it was from Pascal. Annoyed and offended, she immediately threw it away. As a married woman, is it proper to accept gifts from a single man? Let us know your thoughts. The next day, Bola came over again, and Rose asked if she had brought the gift. Bola told her it was from a young man who begged her to deliver it to Rose. Curious, Bola opened the gift and began admiring the contents. It contained nightwear and children's clothing. When Rose found out it was from Pascal, she was furious. However, her friend Bola took the items while Rose excused herself to go pray in her room. Later that day, Pascal called again to check on Rose. She confronted him angrily and warned him never to do such a thing again. But Pascal insisted he just wanted to see her. Not long after that call, Rose was surprised to see her husband Toby walk in. She welcomed him warmly and helped him settle in. That night, while Toby was working, Rose mentioned her upcoming women's conference. He promised to send money to her account. When she tried to initiate intimacy, he initially refused, saying he was too focused on work. However, he later changed his mind. But just as things were getting emotional, a phone call came in. Toby immediately turned his attention back to work, leaving Rose visibly upset. The next day, some women from the church visited Rose to thank her for her continued support and contributions. When Rose shared her concerns about her husband's constant absence, one of the sisters began asking inappropriate and personal questions. The other sister, noticing this, quickly suggested they leave. On another day, Rose visited Bola for advice on how to deal with Pascal, who kept calling her from different phone numbers. Bola advised her to agree to meet him in a public place and hear him out, noting that young men like him usually don't give up until they get what they want. Several days later, Rose finally met with Pascal. During their conversation, Pascal explained that he hadn't been able to reach her, but he sensed that something wasn't right in her marriage. He asked for a chance to make her happy. Just before leaving, he gently kissed her hand. Rose was left stunned by his boldness and confidence. Wow, that was unexpected. Is this a good thing? And what's the best way to stay away from people who keep pursuing you despite your refusal? Let us know your thoughts as we continue to see whether Rose eventually gives in. One day, the leader of the women's group from church visited Rose. During the visit, she shared a spiritual revelation about Rose and encouraged her to stay prayerful so everything in her life would align well. After their conversation, Rose offered her some refreshments as they continued to talk. That night, Rose called her husband to remind him about her upcoming birthday. He promised to do something special for her. On Rose's birthday, while her maid was in the kitchen preparing food for the celebration, a surprise gift arrived. It was from Pascal. Rose was surprised he even knew it was her birthday, but she still appreciated the gesture. Later that evening, Rose went into her room to get dressed in her nightwear, imagining how good she would look. She then went to the living room and called her husband several times, but he didn't answer. Eventually, he sent her a text message explaining that he was too busy but would call her later. Angry and disappointed, Rose instructed her maid to pack up all the food that had been prepared and leave. The next day, Bola came to visit Rose and began praising her glow, but Rose's reaction didn't match the excitement. When Bola asked what was wrong, Rose opened up and explained what had happened the previous day. Bola then gave her all sorts of advice, telling her that she had the power to either remain sad or choose happiness. She hinted that if Rose wasn't getting what she needed in her marriage, she should consider fulfilling her needs elsewhere, like many women do when their husbands are too blind to notice what's right in front of them. Rose understood what Bola was suggesting, but seemed hesitant. Let's wait and see whether she will actually follow through with that idea. One night, Rose and Pascal were spending time together, sitting in her car and laughing. Pascal told her that he liked her because she reminded him of his late mother. They seemed to really enjoy the moment they shared. That same day, when Rose got home, she was shocked to find her husband there. He apologized for not showing up on her birthday and said he wanted to make it up to her. Rose pretended everything was fine and quietly walked to the room while her husband returned to watching football. Later that night, Rose and Pascal were chatting again on the phone, making plans to meet up. When her husband joined her in bed, he gave her a quick kiss and then fell asleep. Eventually, Rose went to visit Pascal at his place. He welcomed her warmly, and they both had a good time together watching movies. That same day, some women from church came to check on Rose, as they usually did. But this time, they were surprised to see her husband at home. When they asked to see Rose, her husband confirmed she was inside. Rose soon joined them and shared a testimony about how she had recently been saved from a terrible accident. The women prayed with her. After the prayers, they reminded Toby about the remaining money for their upcoming church program, and he transferred the funds to them immediately. However, on their way home, the two women had a disagreement. Sister Esther had taken more money than necessary and insisted on giving only the required amount to the church while splitting the rest between them. The other sister strongly disagreed. The following day, while they were having breakfast, Toby informed Rose that he would be traveling for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Rose and Pascal had grown even closer, enjoying their relationship. Rose gave Pascal some money to help him pay his rent, and he expressed his gratitude. 3 days later, Bola came by again and kept complimenting Rose, saying how beautiful and radiant she was looking. As they were chatting, someone knocked at the door. When Rose opened it, she was surprised to see Pascal standing there. She immediately confronted him, saying it was risky for him to come to her house. Pascal, however, pleaded with her for a sum of 1 million naira to help him sort out some issues. Not long after, Bola returned and was surprised to see Pascal. She recognized him, greeted him casually, and then left. Rose, trying to manage the situation, instructed Pascal to leave and promised she would send him the money later. Wow, what could Pascal be up to this time? Let's stay tuned to find out what happens next. One day, Sister Esther and Sister Grace came to visit Rose. During their conversation, Rose told them how she had been sleeping off lately whenever she tried to study the Word of God. Sister Esther quickly concluded that Rose might be pregnant, saying she could tell from her symptoms. Sister Grace called them to order so they could begin their fellowship. Later, in her bedroom, Rose used a pregnancy test and confirmed that she was indeed pregnant. She immediately called Pascal, who was with his girlfriend at the time. Upon hearing Rose was coming over, Pascal hurriedly asked his girlfriend to leave. When Rose arrived at his place, Pascal was initially excited and wanted to have fun with her. But when she told him she was pregnant, his mood changed. He rejected the pregnancy and reminded her that she was a married woman. Then he walked away into his room, leaving Rose shocked by his reaction. Meanwhile, Toby and his friend were driving around. His friend, who had a very loose attitude toward women, asked Toby about a woman they had discussed before. Toby explained that he had already paid her off and then praised his wife's high moral standards. They laughed and enjoyed their conversation. After some time, Rose began to bleed heavily, indicating that she had lost the pregnancy. Days later, Pascal called Rose to check on her. By that time, she had already had an abortion. He apologized for how he had behaved, then went on to ask her for 5 million naira. Shocked and angry, Rose confronted him and immediately ended the call. Later that day, while Rose was sitting in the living room, Pascal sent her a threatening message, saying he would release a video of the two of them together if she didn't send the money. As her husband entered the room, he noticed something was off and asked if everything was okay. Rose quickly made an excuse and went into their bedroom. Rose later confided in a friend about the blackmail threat from Pascal. She didn't want her husband to find out, especially with all the stress he was currently under. Her friend sympathized with her and gave her 2 million naira to help. Desperate, Rose went to a car dealership to sell her car. Even though her car was worth much more, the dealer offered her a very low amount. With no other option, she accepted the offer. When she got home, Rose lied to her husband, telling him that some men had attacked her and taken everything, including her car. Toby was concerned and promised to call the police, but Rose insisted that God would fight her battle for her, then went into their bedroom. Later, Rose called Pascal again, pleading with him to accept the 6 million naira she had been able to raise. But he refused and abruptly ended the call. This is a clear lesson. Some people only stay around for what they can gain. What's about to happen next will truly leave you stunned. A few days later, Rose informed her husband, who was busy with work, that she was heading to the market. On her way out, she ran into Bola, who asked for the money Rose owed her. Bola insisted she would come by the next day to collect it and even advised Rose to ask her husband for the money. The next day, Bola called Rose, reminding her that she would be arriving in 2 hours to collect her money. Rose tried to convince her to wait and even considered returning the goods Bola had sold her, just to raise the cash, but Bola cut the call. Rose then gathered the materials she had bought from Bola and left the house after informing her maid. Meanwhile, Sister Esther and Sister Grace came to visit Rose. At that moment, Toby and his friend were at home, having a good time. The sisters informed Toby that Rose hadn't been attending church. Shortly after, Bola arrived, angrily shouting Rose's name and demanding her 2 million naira. When Rose came in, her husband began questioning her. Unable to hide the truth any longer, Rose confessed that she had been having an affair. Toby, who always spoke proudly of his wife, was heartbroken. He told her to pack her things and leave, saying all his efforts to care for the family no longer seemed worth it. Bola stepped in, arguing that Rose shouldn't be blamed entirely. She said if Toby had given Rose the love and attention she needed, she wouldn't have sought it elsewhere. According to Bola, Rose had simply found that care from another man. However, Sister Grace strongly disagreed, saying that cheating is never justifiable. Toby, still furious, told everyone to leave, including Bola, who refused to go until she got her money. Toby was overwhelmed with anger, while Rose pleaded with him for a second chance. Eventually, he calmed down, forgave her, and even apologized for not being there when she needed him most. They reconciled and spent some intimate time together, half reconnecting emotionally. Later on, as Pascal continued to threaten Rose, she asked him to meet her at their usual spot, promising to bring his money. He agreed, but when he got into her car, he realized too late that it was a setup. Police officers were waiting, and Pascal was arrested on the spot. Later that same day, Toby and Rose held a celebration and rekindled their love, finally enjoying peace and happiness together. This movie teaches us about the dangerous silence that can destroy a marriage and the lack of communication that opens doors to temptation. Learn to balance work with quality time for your partner to avoid emotional gaps. No matter the excuse, cheating is never justified. But when someone you love makes a mistake, fight to protect that love and give them a second chance. Don't be too quick to judge. None of us is perfect. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more exciting updates on the latest Nigerian movies. See you next time.